There is a lot of hype, and I think rightly so, about the new white lacquered dial Speedmaster professional release. I think it's an exciting watch that I really look forward to checking out when I have the opportunity to do so. But that said, there is currently a white dialed Speedmaster, a master chronometer with a ceramic bezel insert already in the product lineup, and it's often overlooked. It is this white dialed Speedmaster Racing in the 44mm case size. Now, honestly, I kind of struggled with this video because I don't want this to sound like an advertisement, but I'm so hyped about this watch. It really is solid. So although I'm going to be very positive, I will try to be fair and objective and point out the flaws. But I think you need to see this watch in person to really appreciate it, because I don't think it looks great on Omega's website. It kind of looks boring. It looks a little bit basic. Maybe people think it's too big or too heavy, and it's not one to consider, but I'm saying that's not the case. This watch is so good in person. I don't think it's too big. I don't think it's too heavy. I don't think it's boring or basic. The finishing is excellent. The materials are top level. The movement is impressive. And the overall execution is perfectly balanced. But that said, I think it's understandable why this watch is often passed over frequently for the more popular professional, the Moon Watch, the venerable Moon Watch that went to space, right? But if more collectors took a closer look at this racing, I think they would be pleasantly surprised at what they find. And I think that this watch would steal a few sales away from the more popular classic Moon Watch. Now, thank you to Exquisite Timepieces for providing this white Speedy for presentation. Exquisite is my recommended Omega authorized retailer. They're a family-owned brick-and-mortar AD. They're in Florida. They carry over 60 brands at all price segments. So if you are shopping any Omega, reach out to my guy Joe. I placed his cell in the description of the video. So if you have questions about pricing, availability, trade-ins, swag, you name it, he's the person to talk to. Now, what makes this Speedmaster Racing so compelling in person rather than how it looks a little boring in Omega's website renderings? I think it comes down to the details. Omega has not skimped on any aspect of this watch. In fact, I don't know that this has any glaring weaknesses or a specific area that holds it back. I think it is as well-rounded of a modern chronograph as they come. And I'm sure some subjective preferences will come into play with some collectors saying, no, I mean, it's not great because of this or because of that. But at the end of the video, I'll share my own opinion on what Omega should do with this model to improve it and to enhance sales for the future. But let's start with this overview. Let's take a look at the dial. We'll go in on a macro level because in photographs, it comes across as a basic, boring white. And maybe that's one reason why this gets passed over, but it's not actually white. It's not that simple. It's a texturized opaline dial. There's a subtle frost finish that becomes noticeable from about arm's length and closer, and it really looks good. There's a small amount of light reflection, which helps add to the quiet yet dynamic nature of the execution. And I absolutely love the checkerboard racing indexing. I think this is where the model definitely gets its racing nickname. This was found on Vintage Speedmaster, so the inclusion here on this modern master chronometer, this meta-certified Speedmaster, it's a nice throwback. Now the markers are applied, they're nice and tall, they are black with a reflective finish, and I think they're dimensional, and they add a little bit of light play and visual interest from different angles, different light situations. They're deep filled with lume, which glows a bright, potent green color. The subdials are sunk into the plane of the frosted dial, and they do have the traditional concentric snailing as the texture. There are black conical register surrounds that I find proportionally wide, so they don't appear too heavy or too, conversely too light, like the new Rolex Panda Daytona sometimes does, depending on the picture. These are slightly reflective, so they do correlate nicely with the black ceramic bezel insert that has the high contrast white enamel indexing. Now the hands are nice and long, they're polished, they're black, they're reflective. The date sits down at the 6 o'clock position, and Omega has used orange as an accent color, and that will be found on the chronograph seconds tip, and then the Speedmaster branding found below the printed Omega logo. Now, if I had to nitpick anything here on the dial, I would have liked to see an off-white or a slightly silver date wheel just to match this frosted opaline dial that looks so good. This basic white date wheel, it's not a deal breaker, but it does slightly stand out a little bit. Everything is visible under a box sapphire crystal with fantastic applications of ARC. And that's one aspect of the Moonwatch that I find a little lacking. The ARC is not great on those models, but here the ARC is as good as what you would find on a Seamaster Professional or an Aqua Terra or a Planet Ocean, and that's a detail that I appreciate. Now inside the watch is an in-house coaxial movement called the Caliber 9900, and this will be expansively seen in its entirety by this box-shaped sapphire crystal that also appears to have that really nice ARC application, so you can look at the detail work and the finishing to a high degree of clarity. This is automatic winding as opposed to the hand winding of a 3861 in a classic Moonwatch Professional, and this will have a free-sprung silicone balance, a full balance bridge for stability. It has a column wheel for smooth gear integration and twin mainspring barrels that will hold the 60 hours of power reserve. This beats at 4 Hertz, it has 54 joules, and it has my favorite common complication, which is the jumping time zone hours hand. I find this perfect for travelers that cross time zones, or those that observe daylight savings time, or those that like to quickly adjust the date at the end of an irregular length month without hacking the balance and interrupting the timekeeping. So I love the fact that it's found on this 9900. This caliber is beautifully finished with the spiral striping, the red tone accents. The spiral striping is often referred to as arabesque, and I like the fact that you can see it all through this box sapphire crystal. The caliber is META certified, meaning that it has been exhaustively tested in multiple aspects that include accuracy and power reserve and anti-magnetic properties. It really goes through the ringer for that certification. The action is smooth, it's crisp. Really, there is not one thing that I don't love about this movement. The fact that you can time something up to 12 hours long down to the second is a nice thing, and that is done with both hour and minute counters set within the right dial sub-register, and that's something that you might not notice at first glance, but becomes apparent as you spend some more time with the watch. Now, the bracelet is the older 5-link design. The links are a little bit shorter in terms of length, and they are held together with twin screws, and there will be 2 included half links in addition to a toolless micro adjustment system in this milled signed clasp. So you'll be able to dial in a perfect fit on just about any wrist size. So taking a look at this, I know I've been very positive, but the watch is solid. It's hefty, it's beautifully finished, it's subtly brilliant with the dial execution. I find this perfectly robust, accurate, anti-magnetic. Really, there is so much to enjoy about this piece, and it's a little bit surprising to me that it is often passed over, but I can't blame you because I've done that in years past myself. Now, another nice thing about this is it is widely available, unlike a Rolex Panda Daytona, and at least for now, this new white dial lacquer, this white lacquer dial Speedmaster Professional, of which, again, I'm very much looking forward to seeing in person. So honestly, there is not a real clear drawback to this piece that's not subjective coming in or tying into personal preferences. But speaking of that, what would I change? Well, for myself, I think it would be great if the ceramic bezel indexing was loomed like on the Apollo 8 Dark Side of the Moon. I think the white enamel is fine. It looks nice. It has high contrast. It does the job. But loomed ceramic would be a little bit more exciting, and I would appreciate that. Another thing that I would like to see, and tell me if I'm off base here, but I would love to see an untreated meteorite dial option. I absolutely adore the gray side of the moon, but the lack of the bracelet on that model will keep me from buying it. This one has the same case. This one has the same movement, and this has a fantastic bracelet. So I imagine the meteorite dial from, the gray side of the moon on this stainless steel racing, and that gets me excited. I think that combination would be absolutely killer. Now, frankly, with how much focus Omega gives to the Speedmaster line, I don't know why we haven't seen a meteorite dial on a steel watch, either racing or professional. I think that would fly out of the authorized dealers. So again, I'm a little surprised that it has not happened recently, because if you think about it, a watch that is celebrated for leaving this planet and going to another celestial body in the heavens, having that awesome history, but also placing a material on the dial that is literally from off of this planet. I mean, how poetic does it get? I would love to see that happen, but sound off if you agree with me or if you have a differing opinion. Please place all that in the comment section. In this video, I'm not trying to sell you the watch. It might seem that way. Maybe I'm selling myself on it as I've been reviewing this, gathering the macro video and the wrist shots and whatnot, because this watch is one that I have passed over, that I have not wanted to take a deeper look into, but having the opportunity to spend time with it, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to share the good news that this is a solid watch. It's a great addition to the Omega lineup, and I'm happy to have had the opportunity to film it. So if you are shopping any Omega, again, reach out to Exquisite Timepieces. Reach out to my guy, Joe. His cell phone is in the description of the video. And let me know if you have any specific comments or questions. Thanks for watching today. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.